Childhood trauma is not our fault, right? We're just a product of our environment when we're growing up. As kids, we have no control over anything, right? We're just there and experiencing what seems to be normal. Childhood trauma does go through at least 3 generations. If you have it, you can identify it. Mom and dad had it, and so do your grandparents. Part of the work I do is going through the family tree and finding out what some of those traumas were that those generations went through.
Thank you for listening to Serves You Right. My name is Andrew, and today we are talking to Riana Milne, licensed mental health counselor, relationship coach, and trauma specialist. We are discussing all things relationship. Super important. The quality of your relationships, in a lot of ways, is the quality of your life. So, super fascinating conversation. I had a fantastic time working through some things, even got a little personal in there. So, I hope you enjoy, and thanks again for listening to Serves You Right. Riana Milne, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, author, live beyond your dreams, love beyond your dreams, 26 years and doing all sorts of things, helping people recover from trauma, mindfulness. What all do you do? And do you mind walking us kind of through how you became who you are? I know that's a big question. Yeah.
It's been a long one, I can tell you, because it started when I was 16, actually. It's when I lost my best childhood friend to a drunk driver. And it was a huge loss for me, and I couldn't handle the grief. And I asked my mom if I could go see a counselor. And her response back then was, no one in this family will ever go to a counselor. And I said, then I will grow up and become one. And that was my stake in the sand that I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I started turning to books, mindset work, Tony Robbins, the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, The Course of Miracles, these types of authors that write on the mindset of success is what I call it. So I've been studying that since my teens. And actually I started coaching or teaching at a college part-time in my young 20s. I was teaching a lot of mindset work around sales and creating a business out of nothing and PR and promotions and marketing. And I did open up my own model and talent school and agency at the age of 25, 26. By then, I had married and had 2 daughters and ended up marrying a man that stole $200,000 from my mother. So I had
a checkered
trauma
past
from loss. I witnessed my girlfriend from Penn State, my best friend, being murdered by her boyfriend. I mean, I didn't witness it, but I experienced that loss too. Then I had this love trauma. So my life goes on. The Model and Talent School I loved. Within 6 months of opening, I got educational excellence in the international competition. The first year I did win Model and Talent School of the Year internationally. So I did very well with that. And I just started with my first month's rent because I divorced the husband. We had a bankruptcy from his business of $750,000. So a lot of people look at me and said, oh, she must have had an easy journey. And it was not easy. I took on that debt. It took me 16 years to pay back my mom. So at that point forward, I usually had about 5 jobs at one time in my life going forward. So the Model and Talent School was great. I did end up selling that and went back to school and got my master's and got a triple master's in applied clinical and counseling psychology. And in year 2000, I opened up Therapy by the Sea, which was my therapy practice, which I still have. So entering my 20s. And 2009 and 10, I got certified by RCI, Relationship Coaching Institute, for singles and couples to be a life and relationship coach. And then moving forward, once they had the trauma certificate, I got the advanced status as a CCTP, Certified Clinical Trauma Professional. So that's the educational journey and why I got where I got. Process, I had a second love trauma, and I'm thinking, why? I mean, I'm a nice woman. I work hard. I'm a great mom. I'm spiritual. Why am I getting these toxic people in my life? And I went to 7 therapists, and nobody had the answers. And I started doing the deep research myself, and I found childhood trauma. And I had other traumas, not just that loss with Michael, but childhood trauma leads to love trauma. And it's made so much sense. And you can't change what you don't know or understand. So once I understood it, then I created the healing method, which is now trademarked. and I use for my coaching clients around the world. So my one for singles is called Dating to Mating. The one for couples is called Relationship Rescue. And then I developed a podcast called Lessons in Life and Love with Coach Riana Milne. And at this point, I have 13 books. The ones for my curriculum: Love Beyond Your Dreams, Break Free of Toxic Relationships to Have the Love You Deserve, and Live Beyond Your Dreams, From Fear and Doubt to Personal Power, Purpose, and Success. Those are sister books meant to go together, one for mindset, one for emotionally healthy love. And those were #1 bestsellers on Amazon. So from there, I kept writing books also to go along with the topics and new research that I had found. So that's kind of the journey.
Long journey to today, but that's
That's what I
awesome.
said. Over 40
Yeah.
years, I've been doing mindset work. So it's a long time.
Well, yeah, congratulations. That's quite a journey. I already have so many questions. I do want to start before I dig into some of the relationship stuff. I want to ask, because I know I'm confused by this. I'm sure if I am, other people will be listening. The difference between counselor, therapist, coach. It's something I've always wondered about, but they seem like they operate in a similar space but have subtle distinctions.
For me, it's very different.
Okay, great.
Coaching is very educational. I'm there to teach skills. I take you where you are right now. I do dissect the past because I am a licensed mental health counselor, which gives me an edge over coaches who are not, because I know the psychological things that are blocking people. Then we define your goals and your dreams, and then we move you forward. So every time I meet with my clients, they do have a 150-page workbook that I wrote. It's like bibliotherapy. What they write tells me what I have to teach them. So we work as a team. It's very much a team effort. Counseling, most counselors even call their clients, which I never liked the word, patients.
Yeah.
To me, that was a connotation. They're sick.
Yes.
And
Something's
these
wrong
people
here.
aren't sick. They're just going through something. So even in counseling, I call them my clients. But we have to put a diagnosis code on them. So if they just lost someone, suddenly, like I did, I came in with depression. So what, I'm going to have a stigma of depression for the rest of my life on my paperwork that's open to the whole healthcare system? It's horrible. So, I don't like to have to give diagnostic codes, but for therapy, I do. And that is a model of processing your feelings, not often getting real solutions. So when people come to me, they said, I've been in therapy 7 years, nothing's changed. I'm like, okay, you ready to do the real stuff, the real work, So yes, I've been an excellent therapist, and I've helped kids through schools and mental health wards and in drug and alcohol facilities, because I'm a drug and alcohol counselor too. So I do understand, but adding the trauma component to it, the childhood trauma piece, was huge in helping all my clients move forward, even my counseling clients. Many counselors don't even go into trauma work. I've had people say, all they do is sit there and say, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, yeah, I had a couple of those. I'm like, no, not for me. So I always like the coaching model. If I'm going, I want some advice. I want to know, what should I be working on? What can I do to help this issue? I don't want to keep processing the same thing over and over again.
I like that. Okay, so
That's
you're
the
more of
difference.
an active seat as a coach,
Coaching
essentially.
is very active in my world.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
very active in education.
You know, we're on this definition land. I don't think I've ever actually asked anyone this because I just feel too silly to ask it, but I hear it all the time. Is there a good definition? I know you have kind of a group of traumas that people have gone through. I
Yeah.
really laughed. You sent me, it's 100% of people, you said, suffer from traumas in 2021. But
Yes. The
yeah,
research in 2021, 100% of us have some of the top 10 traumas, and I'll be glad to go into them.
yeah, I would love to because I've heard it. I've probably even said it, but I don't think I have a good working definition for what it is.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay, so any of the listeners, and you too, Andrew, you might want to write down if you have any of these as I go through the list.
Yeah.
First of all, childhood trauma is not our fault, right? We're just a product of our environment when we're going up. As kids, we have no control over anything, right? We're just there and experiencing what seems to be normal. Childhood trauma does go through at least 3 generations. Okay, so if you have it, you can identify it. Mom and dad had it, and so do your grandparents. Part of the work I do is going through the family tree and finding out what some of those traumas were that those generations went through.
Yeah, I'm
Okay, so the
screwed, just so
first,
you know. But
yeah,
yeah,
And childhood trauma is all your whole childhood experiences. So at home, it might have been perfect, but you got bullied at school every day, or a coach beat you up, and was bullying you in front of others at the team, made you feel not good enough. So it could come from any experience as a child. Okay. So the first one is any addiction issues in the family. So there's about 12 of them I name because I'm an addictions counselor and I've seen examples of all of these. So, drugs, alcohol, sex, meaning you knew your parent was cheating and you held that secret, porn use, gambling, hoarding, spending, eating, gaming, TV watching, social media, and workaholism.
And you
So,
pretty much
those
got all of America there, just right there. Yeah.
Yeah, got these memorized. Okay, so
Yeah.
those are some of the 12 addictions that might have been very prevalent in your home. Number two is verbal messaging. What did you hear when you grew up? Did you hear, I'm proud of you, and a lot of compliments and great job, kiddo? Or did you hear, change your outfit, you look fat in that? Or I'm not sending you to college to waste my money. These kind of slurs and put downs from your family. Also, how did your parents talk through an issue? Did they yell and scream at each other? Or could they sit and calmly discuss the issue and come up with a resolution? And if your parents yelled at each other or yelled at you, how were things handled? Okay, so verbal messaging is number two. Number three is emotional abuse or neglect. Number four is any physical abuse, hitting with any kind of objects, rape or molestation. Again, inside or outside of the home. Number five is around abandonment. So there's fault and no fault. So a no fault abandonment is if a parent happened to die early, or they were deployed for war, or they traveled a lot. Then that was their business. That's how they supported the family. There's all no fault why parents left. Fault abandonment is never knowing your child, knowing the child, the couple breaks up, you rarely see them. And then the third instance is because you could be in the house, but you just don't attach to your child. You don't get involved. You don't go to the school events. You don't play sports with them. You're just, from work to dinner to your office at home, go to bed.
A
That's
lot of
it,
ways
not
to be
emotionally
absent.
attached.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is if you were adopted, part of foster care, or had to live in another home because your parents couldn't keep you at that house. So even if it's grandma or an aunt, you were displaced from the home. Number seven, most people can relate to is personal trauma. Any way you felt different. So you could have been a chubby child and teased for that. You could have been skinny and gawky and called a nerd like I was. You could have been, the only African American in all Caucasian school, or come out LGBTQ and your peers and family don't accept you. So anything that you felt different, that you didn't fit in or not good enough, that's personal trauma. Number eight is sibling trauma. Your sibling could have bullied you. They could have been born with a medical issue, so they commanded more of mom's and dad's time, and you were kind of just off to the side. And the third way, and most people relate to this one, is your sibling was the golden child, the favored one. So, they could have been the star athlete, more handsome, more beautiful, or the better student, and you were always compared to them. Okay, number nine has actually two traumas. Number 11, because there are more than 10, I just talk about the top 10.
I
But number
gotcha.
11 had to be moved down because when I made the list in 2012, this was not very prevalent, and that was called community trauma. Now it's one of the top three. So, COVID, our Mother Nature events, flood, fires, hurricanes that wipe out massive communities, anything that really impacts the community at large. And then that impacts, of course, the family. So family trauma can also include growing up in a dangerous neighborhood, struggling for income, parents in and out of jobs, or you couldn't keep up with other families because, there just wasn't the money and you felt different because your clothes weren't the same. Even military families that have to travel every 2 to 4 years here in the US, that puts the child as the new kid in school. So anything impacting the family if a parent was incarcerated and so forth. The number 10 is mental health issues in mom and dad. And the two most difficult for kids to navigate is bipolar, which is manic depressive. A manic phase could be a shopping spree and you feel really happy about it. You love your stuff for a month and then the bill comes and then you're depressed and angry for 3 months because you can't pay the bills. That's
Yeah.
manic depressive. And then the other one is borderline personality disorder. And I describe that one as when they're good, they're great, but when they're bad, they're horrid, and you never know what you're going to get. So the kid is always walking on eggshells, like before they walk in the door, is my mom going to yell at me today? Or is dad going to be angry today? And it keeps the kid highly anxious. That's a difficult one to grow up with. That's the worst. So that usually my clients, when they come to me, they have ongoing anxiety and bouts of depression. And they might be on, anti meds, psychotropic meds that aren't really doing anything because that's just a band-aid. We got to get to the root of the issue and heal the original traumas. So those are the top 10 traumas.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you like? Does everyone interact with those differently? I'm
Yes.
just curious.
Yes.
COVID strikes me as a weird one.
There's a scale of like 1 to 10, 10
Okay.
being worst, 1 being, okay, that happened, but it wasn't horrible. So someone that can remember being hit by their dad by about 3 times is different than a kid being, that might be a 2 or 3 for them versus a kid that's going to get hit every day from his alcoholic father when he gets home.
If you're enjoying this so far, please take a second to take this podcast and share it with a friend. The only way we can grow is by people finding out through people who believe in us and love us like you. All right, back to the show.
That's a 10.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So did you see some of the traumas in yourself?
I saw, I'd say 6, maybe 6.5, depending on how you count them, but I'm going to leave it in the air to which 6.
Most people can find 4 to 6. There might be a little more once we do the questioning. If I do a discovery session with someone, I give them 2 hours of my time and we really break those down. So then I can understand what happened in their past and what's going on now in their present. And then to bridge the gap and put the puzzle pieces together to heal all that, that's the blueprint to move forward with coaching.
Okay. So this might be something that you'd have to work with me on if I were to, come to you for coaching. But my impulse, and I feel like probably a non-significant, like decent size portion of the population would say the same. Like my impulse is to say, I was bullied a little in school. I'll give you that one, but I wasn't seriously, I like, it's one of those things where like the few like taunting words, are those serious enough that I should be worried about it? Like I do remember being picked on some, nothing like horrific, and maybe
But again, when we're children, our little survivor minds keep saying, this isn't so bad. It's okay. This happens to all the kids. But it really does impact our self-esteem, impacts how we feel about ourselves. And, how does that show up in love relationships? If you'd like to know, here's just a few combinations. There's like over 24 of them last time I made a list. So if you have like jealousy or control issues, that's when you just don't feel good enough about yourself. So you're questioning your partner and where they're going and what they're doing. You get anxious when they're away from you, thinking there's something going on. That comes from either abandonment or trauma 2, there's verbal message, and 7, not feeling good enough. Perfectionism is, again, walking on eggshells. You always had to please a difficult mom or dad. If I'm perfect, if I get good grades, they'll be happy today when I go home, or I won't get yelled at. They'll be proud of me for a moment. This is also, perfectionism is also a part of people pleasing. And a lot of women do that. If they had a difficult parent, they'll overplease and overdo for the parent so that there's some kind of a bond there, but they're never very confident about that bond. If you had abandonment issues, you'll feel anxious when your partner's away. You could tend to be clingy in a relationship, reaching out to other prospects if you're not getting the kind of love or attention that you want. In the
a very diplomatic way of
cases,
saying that, yes.
Yeah, in the extreme cases, if a woman turns her man down for sex and says, "Hon, I'm just not energized enough to have sex tonight. Let's do it another time," and he goes off in a hissy fit and starts, "Well, something's wrong with you," and this kind of nonsense, this is a clear sign of, abandonment and not feeling good enough about yourself. Addiction issues can start early by kids trying to escape difficult families. So, drugs or alcohol can lead to addiction. Blaming behavior, if you have a partner that's always blaming you, can't take responsibility, can never apologize and say, I'm sorry for doing this or doing that. This is someone that feels they need to be right because as kids, they were never right. There was always something wrong with them. So they're heavily invested with wanting to be right and not apologizing. And this then goes deeper into the narcissistic and, abusive personality types.
All right. I'm going to have to ask, can we continue on that conversation? I do want to know, how do you spot these narcissistic, sociopathic, these personality
That's a
types?
whole nother show.
I'm, it doesn't, yeah, it's one of those things that I'm very intrigued by because you hear those words all the time now. You hear narcissists thrown around
Well,
throughout
a
all
lot of
social
times people
media.
say they're a narcissist, and very often it's borderline personality disorder or sociopathy. So a sociopath will use someone for pleasure, profit, or lifestyle advancement. That's what my husband did. He used my family, my mother, for his lifestyle advancement and stole money from her. That's a sociopath. They usually can't be helped because they also have narcissism traits in them that, everybody else should do what I want them to do, Yeah. So this psychopath is one step further. They're the sociopath who kills. Okay. The narcissist is in both of those personality types because it's all about them. The narcissist is usually someone that was heavily abused as a child and really does want love. So they will love bomb someone to death. Some women will say, oh my God, he gives me gifts and flowers and he loves me all the time, blah, blah, blah. And that's actually a red flag. Or asking to get married within 1 month. It's like, okay, well, this is scary. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important that those in single world know the dating rules today. Like when I hear someone, oh, yes, I'm dating. I have a boyfriend in Australia. I'm like, no, you don't. You have someone sitting in Africa trying to rip you off. It's like, why don't they know this? You don't date outside of your hometown, so many people are making horrendous mistakes with dating. So we go very heavily into the dating rules so that you know how to attract an emotionally healthy, evolved, and conscious partner. I think one time when I was doing the research, like 1 in 7 people are sociopathic. So there's a lot out there that you have to know the questions to ask and the signs to see. And
Gee.
it's very clearly spelled out in my 400-page book, Love Beyond Your Dreams. And the first part of that is the personality types that can break your heart, the 19 personality traits. So it's very clearly defined in that first section.
Yeah. And I think, we live in an age of such loneliness too. We've never been more divided. So it's an opportunity for those people who are willing to push the envelope. This is their golden hour. There's never been so many people willing to believe so much at the drop of a hat.
Well, when you have your own self esteem and friendships and you love your life, you're out there, you have your group of friends. That may not be where your partner is, but you're not sitting at home alone and only counting on a dating app for your whole social life, right? You have the life you desire. You create that first, then you go find the love you deserve. So, I was very busy building a business to international status. And, for a while, I consciously made the choice I'm not dating because I have to build a school, create a podcast, everything it is to grow a coaching business internationally. And I just didn't have the time for a partner, and it does take time. So then, I was coming up on my 66th birthday and said, you know what, now is the time that I'm going to go find someone. And my friend James says, oh, just like that, Rihanna's going to be that easy. I'm like, yes, because I'm consciously deciding and I have all the skills I need. But now is the time in my life I really would like a partner. Kind of like everything is built. So I'm going to take a few steps back and create that time for a wonderful relationship. And I remember the date because I said it's August 1st. Let's see how long it takes me. And I met my fiance August 17th. So we're happily being
2 weeks
together.
and change. Yeah.
Yeah. And we actually met on an app, a dating app, which is fine because I work from home. So I'm not out unless I'm with my group of friends. I'm not out sitting at a bar hoping to meet someone. No, I knew exactly how to write a profile, exactly the pictures I needed to put up there, and exactly what I was looking for. So it's not like I needed 200 responses. I needed to find a few good ones. Like in 50 pages, I think I wrote 7 people. And he said I was the first one he wrote and the only one, and he got off the app. So, there we go. If you know what you're doing, it doesn't take 6 months, a year, 3 years, 4 years on dating apps. That's somebody that really doesn't know what they're doing.
Sure. Have you ever heard of Seth Steven Davidovitz? If not,
No.
he's a data scientist. He used to work for Google, and he's written a
Okay.
couple books about. He applies data science ideas to different everything from like Google searches based on times of the year, but a lot of his work on
Okay.
like dating websites is very interesting. And one of his contentions is that most people are optimizing for looks
Yes,
instead
of
of the things
course.
that are actually predictive of long-term relationships. And
Yes, they're
if you know
going
how to
for the
use them,
chemistry.
you're
Chemistry is the worst way to fall in love, gang. It's
hmm
going, what is happening is the hippocampus of the brain likes what it knows, but it can't decipher whether that's good or bad. So it's taking you back to the original family patterns. So that's what chemistry is. You meet someone and the brain recognizes, and it's the phenylalanine going in your brain, and you think this is love. No, it's not. And
this
you
is
have to be
familiar.
smarter when you date and go for quality and qualities that we talk about and define. And the questions that I advise in part 4 of the love book are the questions that you start out with. And if you really understand and have healed your own childhood trauma, you know exactly what you're looking for and what you will not settle for.
Sure.
Very important to know both.
You know, if it's okay, I wanted to share a story that actually happened. I have a therapist, and we met last week. Me and him were talking, and we've been trying to work through a couple things. But so I work as a manager, general manager at a busy steakhouse, and I'm trying to square this circle where, you know, busy days, angry guests, no issues at all. Someone steals from the restaurant, I catch them. I have no problem having that difficult conversation, firing of them right then and there.
Okay.
Having a slightly like troubling conversation with my wife. This is something that I know will upset her, but needs to be said. I
Right.
am helpless. Like, I have been able to find the courage to do it,
Yeah.
but there is such a divide in our ability to be good at work versus our ability to do well and be good at relationships and love. Like, what is that?
So, what was modeled to you from your parents when they had a discussion when you were growing up? Was there a lot of yelling in the house?
There was very little to none. So there was
No
almost
conversation.
no engagement on
So then
charged
shutting
issues.
down was
Yes.
what they did, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't talk about it. So
Usually.
that's what you grew up with as normal.
Mm-hmm.
So people that are quiet, such as yourself, that's comfortable. That was normalized to you, but it doesn't mean it's correct,
Yeah.
right? So with coaching, we teach, I have 1 full hour of all communication skills. You do this, you do that. You don't do this, you don't do that. You watch this, you watch that. And then they practice it together, my couples. So it's really important that you get these lessons that nobody taught us, by the way, sadly, because shutting down could be passive aggressive. Either, yes, you're afraid to say what you're feeling, which we call teaching you empowered communication, that you speak your feelings, but you still speak them with kindness and with an effort to solve the problem, not to prove them wrong and you're right. No, that's punishing. What's best for the team is what you should be going for. Well, hun, we could try this or we could try that. Use a pet word, babe, hun. Well, hun, why don't we try this instead? So instead of yelling to get your point or shutting down or she doesn't get me, it's working as a team for the good of the team. You have to look at it in a different way. But I do teach empowered communication. It's really important that you're able to speak your feelings without fear of being either punished or put down or feeling not good enough or not heard, right? So, yeah, that's an important part of successful relationships, or what we say sustainability over time. That, supposedly your partner's your best friend. So how do you talk to your best friend? Most people can talk to their best friend free and easy. If they have a stupid fight, it's like, hey, sorry, man, that was dumb
My
what I
bad.
just said.
Yeah.
And you get beyond it. It's like, no big deal. So why do people look at their partner differently? That can also come down to personal trauma, not feeling personally confident about things, experiences with your first girlfriends that you might have had. So I have to analyze all of that, where it's coming from.
We don't have the time here right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
So shutting down sometimes is either, what was modeled to you, which is your case, or afraid that you'll get yelled at, which could be the case in a child growing up in a screaming home. They might have voiced their opinion, Dad, don't yell at Mom. And so then he gets triple punished, so he's learned not to say anything or he'll be in trouble. So that's where those two patterns come from.
I have a feeling that a lack of seeing anger expressed in a healthy but just normal way gave me a little bit of fear of anger too, which I'm
Yeah.
sure some people.
Well, there should be no yelling in a relationship unless someone's in harm's way, like they're about to be hit by a bus. It's like, watch out. Then you yell.
Yeah.
Other than that, you should be able to speak your feelings and they need to be able to respond. And then there's the place in the middle where you agree to disagree. And it's okay. If someone wants politician A and the other one's politician B, okay, let's just decide we disagree on this and it's let it go. It's no big deal. So you have to know when to let things go and not make it an argument. Why is one person trying to control the other on who they vote for? That's not right. That's not respect. You got to respect your partner's their own individual.
We all have our
They
own
have the
brains.
right to their
Yeah.
own beliefs, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. So besides just the fear of being yelled at, the fear of disappointment, are there other emotional triggers that you see that often come up? Big stumbling blocks for relationships?
Yeah, there's all kinds of emotional things, just moodiness, verbal put downs, power and control, different parenting styles where they fight over that. One is really lax and loving, the other one is more authoritative and it wants to be in control. And again, how did they grow up? What type of parents did they grow up with? What is their norms? Is their norms correct or do the norms have to be changed? We change them through education. Research shows you don't want to be punish your kid for 3 months for speaking his feelings because it's
That's
not a
going to be a lesson
proper
they don't forget.
punishment.
Yeah.
So all this is education. Yeah.
When you and I first started talking about you coming on the show, you mentioned that you'd been a server and a cocktail waitress in the past. And
Yeah.
this is a show mostly, servers, bartenders.
Yeah.
Are there any challenges you could think of that might be expressed, like especially difficult working service industry for relationships? Because I
Yeah.
know,
Well, let me
yeah,
start with, a little bit of my background as a server.
yeah, sure.
16, my freedom to get out of the house was waitressing at the Ocean City, New Jersey Shore Resort at a pizza place. And my brothers were lifeguards. And, I was able to live there at 16 for the whole summer and I waitressed to support myself. So I love that. And while I was at Penn State, I was a cocktail waitress and at the disco and I created fashion shows to raise money for various charities with the best dancers in the club. So I always found even if I did serve, I did something one step more to be involved. I did tell my daughters as they were growing up, you're going to both waitress, and I'm sending you to bartending school because no matter where you live, you can support yourself through waitressing or bartending. That was the best thing I did. My one daughter bartended up in New York at a top nightclub. She was a model and a singer for a top pop artist at the time. So she was making easily 1,500 a night and was able to buy her own condo in Astoria, New York by age 24 through service. And then she was at another more upscale place serving and they asked her to be manager. She said, no, thank you. I make more, with my tips. And then my other daughter went out to Santa Barbara and she was waitressing for a short amount of time and she was made manager within a short amount of time, then wanted to live back in Florida and worked at Universal and City Place and became a manager of a nightclub. And I said, a nightclub? You don't even like dancing. And she goes, I know, but I'm a great manager. We all, in our transition of single mom and my daughters when they were single and getting their feet on the ground. We all did service industry work. So I have a huge respect for it. Now, regarding relationships, yes, you have to be careful at any work site that you're not, getting too involved with the other people on your work site. So whether it's an office setting, a restaurant, a bar,
I hope those who
there's
are listening take that down. Note that. That's an important one.
it's a very important one. You can have friends, you can have buddies, but there has to be a strong line, and you are the one that holds the boundary. So if you're in a marriage or an exclusive relationship, protect your partner. We have this saying, it's you and me against the world. So the work world doesn't permeate that relationship that you're so fond of, and your partner should know your work friends. And then you're a big family, which is awesome, right? So there should be no side things going on because it's going to destroy your life, their life, and you'll both be fired, most likely. So you really want to watch work relationships. If you're single and they're single, there still may be a policy. You want to make sure, if you're allowed to date or not allowed to date. And if you're taking that chance, you can go to your manager and say, we're a relationship. Is that okay? We don't want to do anything sneaky behind your back. And if there was no written policy, then you might be okay. Yes, you're now an established couple and you act like that in the workspace. So that's, what I would say about that.
It works really well the way I did it. So I was the bartender, she was a waitress.
Hmm.
Different departments, it
Yeah.
helps. Different
Yes,
lanes, and yeah,
it does. It
yeah.
does. But, know
It's
the policy of your establishment.
oh yes, yes.
Sometimes they're okay with it. Sometimes they're not.
Well, it helped. It was a hotel, so it was actually a separate establishment on paper. So it was like,
There you go.
yeah,
That's easier
it
too.
was like dating the girl at the job next door, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, yeah, it's an interesting one too because you can spend a lot of time. It's a lot of nights
Yeah.
generally. It's hard to meet other people, and if you're meeting people, it's usually after work at 1 a.m. that you're at the bar.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. If you're single, I feel for the single people in restaurants these days.
Yeah. You have to create your lifestyle around that for sure. If you don't like the night shift, apply to somewhere else where you can make better money by day shift,
That's a smart one.
and
Yeah.
see to adjust for your lifestyle. But always, whatever job you're at, do a great job and ask your manager before moving on for a letter of recommendation. So many people don't ask for I mean, all throughout my life, I think I have 36 letters of recommendation because what other job am I doing? Like I said, I had 5 jobs and I can always go get another job if I want. And I have the letters backing up my work ethic. So, if you've done a great job, get your letter of recommendation. If you can, go to school and get your way worked up to, if you like hotel restaurant management, get a degree in it and go to a great chain like Marriott or something else that's out there where you have your pick of wonderful resorts. And there's plenty of options in the space. If you really like it, go get your degree in it and work your way
There's
up.
always room for excellent people.
Yeah,
You will always find a place if you do it to your best ability.
I agree
So
with that.
someone who's listening in today, I just want to make sure they know how should they first approach you. I've saw a couple different things on your website. Courses, there's a laser. What
Laser
should someone do
coaching.
to get introduced to you?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, if you go to my website, it's easily my name. It's rianamilne.com. Okay, so go to the website. Right now, I just came out with a book like 3 days ago called The Mindset for Success, Personal Transformation in Life, Love, and Business in Today's World. And I wanted to put today's crazy world, but I didn't. But that is free for a limited of time. So download that. Also, there's the free quizzes where you could do the childhood trauma checklist that I did with Andrew. So you could do that. If you're with a partner and struggling, there is the red flag checklist. So you should do that one. See where the areas are that you're struggling with. And if you want to work with me personally, right now on a super special is the Life and Love Transformation Discovery Session, where I spend 2 hours of time with you. It's under $100. It's amazing, where I do 5 assessments and break down your past and put the pieces together, like I said, of why you're struggling today in life, love, or business. or you can't find your purpose, or the goals aren't happening like you wanted them to happen, we meet together and we go over everything and we create the blueprint to get you going on your way. So, and then my podcast is Lessons in Life and Love with Coach Riana Milne, and you can get free book chapter downloads of Live and Love Beyond Your Dreams on my website as well. So there's all kinds of free things for you guys to get started when you're
Yeah.
ready to take it seriously. And today is a day to create that life you desire and have the love you deserve. Then you start with a discovery session because that's how I can help you best. I need that background first
You
so
need
I
that
can help.
work. Yeah, to get in there.
Yeah.
I like that. Awesome. Rihanna, is there anything that we missed talking today? Anything that you wish we had covered and we didn't?
No, there's all different kinds of things, so many topics. Just strive for life balance, guys. Get into holistic health, mind, body, spirit to get you through the hard times. Do give your partner that time that they deserve for peace and loving conversations and fun. You got to have fun in life. It might be, if you want me to, teach you what is the foundation of a fabulous relationship.
Sure.
Let's see
Who's
if
going
I
to
have.
pass that one up? Yeah.
It's from my Love Beyond Your Dreams book. So, and actually, it's on page 294. So, this is one page of information out of 400. So, what does the emotionally healthy, evolved, and conscious relationship look like? There's 5 F's. So, the first F is a solid foundation, the ability to trust and who you are. You have confidence in who you are and confidence in your partner. And you and your partner share the same moral values. Second one is flexibility. You both have open mind, caring, you're easygoing, emotionally open to understanding what they're trying to say. That allows for loving conversations and for them to have their own opinion because you're two different people. Fidelity is honesty, loyalty, and integrity. And integrity means doing the right things when nobody's looking. So that creates that trust and that bond that should be unbreakable, right? Friendship. They should be your best friend. You have respect for them. You can count on them. They're reliable. There's kindness, and you each act as each other's best friend. The fifth F is fun. You got to have fun, common interests, get out on your days off, go have some fun. Do something every week that you can look forward to. We always talk about our calendar Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, what are we doing Friday? What are we doing Saturday night? We're kind of living for the weekend because we both work hard Monday through Thursday. I tend to take Friday off. It's a writing day for me, but plan that ahead of time so that you always have something to look forward to as well as your vacations. Intimacy, that's a balance of love and deep friendship, daily affection, and fulfilling romance. So it shouldn't be your life is horrible, then you just have sex. Like intimacy should be going on, kisses, hello, goodbye, hand holding, that loving care should be going on all the time. You should have compromise that you can negotiate your differences and be able to apologize quickly and forgive easily without pushing blame or bringing up the past all the time. And you're both balanced individuals. Both partners have great self esteem. They love their life. They're happy with their work. They find purpose in their work. They're grateful for what they have. And they have quality friendships. And the last one, Andrew, and the most important aspect to keep a relationship over time, believe it or not, was spirituality. That means you both have a sense of faith. And this isn't religion, it's a sense of faith in a higher power that you answer to. And spiritual people are accountable to this way of being 24/7. So it's not about going into a building and then being spiritual for an hour, which is church or the synagogue, right? That's more the religious model. This is a spiritual way of being
Connected to
and
something
being the
bigger
light.
than you, essentially.
Yes, that's right. Being a good example, being a mentor, being a kind friend, having that spiritual way of being, and your partner does too. And that creates the best relationship.
I love it. I love it. So it's foundation, flexibility, fidelity, fun, and friendship. I
Those are the
like
five
those.
F's
Yes.
and the other one. Yes.
I need the like alliteration or yeah. I'm like
Yeah.
I don't know if I can remember the intimacy that spirituality. Yeah. I
Yeah. I
need
haven't done the other
roadmaps, acronyms.
four. Right.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
luckily we're recording this, so I can go back and figure this out.
There you go. You could go back and listen again.
Awesome. Rihanna,
So
it was a real pleasure to talk to you today.
thanks, Andrew. Thank you for having me. And thanks everyone for listening. And I hope you found something helpful today.
Absolutely. And go check out our website. And anyone who was listening and didn't have the ability to write that down, I will have that in the show notes. So you can just click over to that. So
Very good. Yep. RianaMilne.com. Simple.
have
Thanks,
a wonderful
Andrew.
day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you again for listening. If you have not, please like, subscribe, and also leave a comment on this show. Every interaction is really, really appreciated. I respond personally to every message, comment I get. Episodes of this show come out every Tuesday, every week. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.